There we go. We're recording as well. Hello, welcome. Uh, had a momentary lapse of what I was doing. I was meant to be recording, but I hadn't done so. Welcome. It's Phil, Discover Tai Chi. Here we are again for some movement, exploring balance and looking at elements of how we can build some strength using nice, easy, slow, progressive movements. Let's start off, I think, with some shibashi movements. I'll do a little bit of a pick and mix, so to speak. And it's always a good place to start with Chi Shi, just to set the scene. Just kind of get that sense of settling in, so to speak. So let's open that movement outwards into opening hearts. We'll do this as a bit of a progression. Lovely. Let's do one more. Now we're going to go up overhead. Okay, so we're picking the hands up, turning them out, and then the palms fall away out to the sides and we bring them down. And then once again, we pick them up. I'm going to do one more. Oh, we've got someone else joining. Keep going, guys. New person, Sanjida. Let's let Sanjida in. Hello, welcome Sanjida. We're moving away, whether seated or standing, so join in as you wish. I'm going to do one more of these with everyone. Hello, welcome. Good to see you. And then we're going to turn this into opening the bow. So we're going to lift the palms just above head height, whether seated or standing. Let's look to our left. And as we do so, we drop that left hand. But then I'm shifting in some weight to this opposite side. So I do a little tilt in the opposite direction. So to the right. And then I drop both hands. Bring them up again. And this time we'll look to your right and shift your weight to your left. That's it. So we get a bit of a tilt on. I like to imagine that we're in a boat and we're gently tipping that boat. So our hands come up, look to your left, drop the left hand and tip your boat to the right. Just a gentle little tip. No capsizing. And then let the hands drop. And then once again, lift. Again, if we're sat down, we're shifting weight to our hips. I'll demonstrate that in a moment. Let's just come to a rest after that. Just have a little intuitive kind of rest. I'm going to sit down, join people who are seated, those who might be watching later. I know that we have people who do watch later. So we'll keep on with this exploration of weight shift, but let's do silk reeling. Silk reeling is this lovely kind of exercise in Chen Tai Chi, creating a kind of circular motion with the hands and arms, but also with some weight shift. Some of you are familiar with this. Let me paint a picture, so to speak. We have a window frame in front of us, and we're going to place our right hand in the top right hand corner of that window frame. There it is. And we're going to drop down to the bottom right corner, sweep that right hand across to the bottom left corner of the frame, pick the palm up, top left, turn the palm out, and then bring it back to where we started in that top right. And then we begin to just trace those corners and the frame edges with our hand. And just get used to that idea of working through progressively. And that's the beginning of our silk reeling movement. So as we get going, try to begin to smooth out the corners so things aren't quite so sharp. There's a bit more of a smoother transition as we move a hand through the frame upon the window pane as we go. Lovely. Okay, I'm just going to make sure we're all muted, so just bear with me. Just in case we get a bit of background noise, that will help. There we go, excuse me. We do the same with the left hand. So this time the hand starts in the left upper corner of our frame. Just like we did with the right, we drop down to the bottom corner, sweep across, pick the palm up, turn the palm out and give it a wipe back across to where we started. Once again, trace the corners and the frame edges. And as you do so, begin to round out the corners so that we get this smooth. It's not really a circle, but we've got these rounded corners as we go around. Silk reeling. Okay. Back to the right hand side. Let's build some weight shifting. So if you're standing up, see if you can have a bit of a wider stance. See if you can get a bit of width between your feet. Wider than shoulder width is ideal. If you sat down with me, we're going to be moving our weight from one hip and then to the other hip. Again, very useful to be able to do when seated or as a wheelchair user. So we're going to start with the right hand back in our window frame, but now that window frame is a bit bigger and I need to bring some weight across to get into that top corner. Down it comes. But then as we sweep the hand across, I'm bringing my weight along with it because now we're working with a far bigger frame. So if you can picture that frame requiring you to move some body weight from one side to the other. If you're standing up, we need to keep our body weight within the base of support that we create with our feet, but we get some very useful side to side movement, helping build some stability, particularly important for those of us with lower limb amputations. Okay, have a little rest, have a little shake out. Let me demonstrate that side to side, stood up or standing up. So there we go. So I'm a bit narrow here with a hip width stance. I need to get my feet wider if I can. Okay. It's all right to let toes turn out if I need to. Here's my left hand, and as I say, it's way over here. It's in that corner. I might even need to shift some weight. Then drop down, sweep across. There's the shift of weight. Pick the palm up, and then wipe back across to where we started. And we've got this weight shift from one side to the other, and we round out the corners as we do so until we get into this nice rhythm, moving from one side and then to the next. Okay, so silk reeling is an exercise that acts as a prelude to wave hands in clouds, Chen style. Again, we've got different styles of Tai Chi. This is Chen style. The hands are slightly different from other forms of wave hands in clouds, such as Yang or Sun, etc. Two hands in motion at the same time. Okay, so this is a bit of a brain challenge now. You might find that steam comes out of your ears. We're going to, first of all, place our right hand back in that top corner. However, we're going to bring the left hand underneath and it's ready to lift. So the palm is facing upwards. Okay, so it's in the bottom right corner. And all we do, first of all, is exchange places. My left hand turns, and then I sweep both hands across to the left. And now I lift the left hand, drop the right hand, turn that right hand to sweep back to where we started on the right. And we've got that weight shift. So there's quite a bit to think about. So just go nice and slow. See if you can just focus on the hand exchange before you think about moving your weight from one side to the other. Good job, guys. I know it's not easy at first. All of a sudden it feels quite challenging to coordinate the hands. But if you think about it, one lifts and one lowers, and then we just sweep them across. And then once again, we pick one hand up, lower the other one before sweeping them across. If you keep it simple, that's the idea. Okay, we're going to come back to the center and just have a little break. And again, I'm going to demonstrate that seated, again, for people who are seated. So let's have a go. Let's get my box and we'll get in position. Same thing, if I'm sat down and I can do so within my seat and with my limbs, then I'm going to try and have a bit of a wider stance as well. It just helps me balance in my seat or in my chair. So if that's possible, try that. So let's start on the right side where we've started. There's my right hand. The left hand is underneath. It's ready to lift, palm up. So let's get that hand exchange done first. Right hand comes down, left hand up, turn the left hand, and then we sweep the hands across. And we do the same thing. One hand lifts, the other drops. Turn the top hand and sweep back. And I'm sat down, shifting weight from hip to hip. Good job, guys. And again, at first, you're just really focusing on the movement. But as you get into it, see if, again, you can get that notion that you are rounding out the corners and you begin to get this smooth transition from one hand position to the other. If you go too quickly, it can all go awry, so don't worry if it does. That's why we move nice and slowly, so we have time to think and feel. Okay, here we go. We're going to go one more. Don't worry if we're on a different side. And then we're just going to come back and let the hands melt away. And we'll return to silk reeling exercises over the next few weeks as we build them up a little bit in terms of different stances as well. But let's do something different. Let's do some older Dao Yin movements or Qigong movements. I'm going to start seated, but again, I will stand up in due course. I'm going to turn my back for a moment because if you've got the scope when sat down, we're going to place our hands on our tailbones. Do that if you're standing up. If you are sat down and there's not enough room, arm rests and all of that, then my hands can start on tops of the thighs. Okay, I'll continue with me back because you can see what's going on. So we're going to release that right hand and sweep it up and forward. So we're doing a wild goose movement. This is your right wing, and then I turn my head and have a little look under that wing. The shoulders turn as well. Then I unwind, and then I fold that wing back where it came. And now I release the left wing. Sweep that hand up. It's got this lovely round shape to it. and my hand is pointing off into the distance. Turn my head, turn my shoulders, look under that wing as well. Unwind. And then fold that wing back where it came. And now we release both wings. So we're spreading both wings, feathers all around us, and we create this lovely round shape with our hands and arms. And then we gently fold those wings back into place where they came. Let me stand up and show you. Again, I'll keep my back turned just so you can see. So here I am, hands resting on my tailbone. I'm sweeping my right hand up and overhead, turning to have a little look under that wing, unwinding, and then refolding that wing back where it came. Here we go with the left wing. Up it comes, looking underneath with a bit of a turn, unwinding, and then refolding back where it came. And now both wings spread wide. Imagine all those feathers and then replace those wings where they came from. Just like so. Wonderful. Okay. We'll do sway the head. So this comes from 8 strands of brocade. Again, bit of a challenge, but we need to have a bit of a wider stance if possible. Again, seated or standing. If we're seated, we might want to place the hands on tops of the thighs. If we're stood up, maybe hands on hips. And we're going to imagine that we're ducking under a little rope. Don't go too far at first, but I'm turning to my right. And then I'm having a little duck. I've got to drop my head. Imagine I duck under something and then pick myself back up. Just like that. And then I go back the way I came, turn to the left, have a little duck down. And if we're standing up, we need to be mindful of our balance and that we don't lose our balance. So we need to work within a comfortable range of motion as I duck from one side to the other. If this is a movement that kind of induces a sense of dizziness, then it's not one to do too much of. Okay, so let's go one more time to each side. But it's a great movement, especially if you have been sat down for a long time. Fab. Walk those feet in. Okay. I haven't done a great deal of rotation, so let's do so. I'm going to try a movement called gliding dragons. For some people, this might mean that you are just stood in place. If you've got the scope to move the right leg forward a bit of a step and you can maintain your balance, that's good as well. And then what we're going to do is lift the hands out to the sides. I'm going to turn to the left first of all. I'm just turning the torso and looking in the direction of the left hand. I don't turn it into a big stretchy movement, and then I unwind and I keep that unwinding going and I end up looking to my right. And then back. And then stepping back with that right leg if you happen to have taken a step. If you were sat down or just stood in place, obviously there's no step. So that movement is affectionately called in our classes the aeroplane movement. You can see for obvious reasons. Shall we have another little go? So if you've got the facility or scope, let's have a step forward with that left leg if possible. Make sure you've got your balance first, then lift the hands and arms into place. And then This time we turn to the right. And then slowly, slowly come back. And now we turn to the left. And then we come back like so. So if I was sat down or in a wheelchair, let me demonstrate. Although I can't necessarily take a step, I can push. This is my right leg, the prosthetic side. I can push it forward and it gives me a bit more support on that side. Then I can lift my hands and arms. And then I'm turning my torso to the left so you can join in. And then back to the other side on the right. Just like that. Fab. So I'm just going to mute. Make sure we're all muted, just so we don't get any background noises. There we go. And then we can do the same with the left leg again, if we've got the scope to do so. So here's my left leg, intact leg. I'm pushing it forward. I know you can't see my feet, but I'm pushing it and it creates some support. Okay. So I'm pushing it forward, lifting my hands and arms. Notice that they're not too high. And then I'm turning to my right. And then rotating gently back and then turning to the left. Gliding dragons. So that's nice rotation. Let's do another more familiar rotation movement, which is our wise owl movement, but we'll do it in two of our popular variations. The first one, most people know, but we do have new people. So let's have a little turn to the right. This time we lift the palms up, but not too high, looking to the right. And then I lower. And now I do the same on the left. I look to the left, turn, lift the palms, but not too high. Keep them below shoulder height, and then turn back. Very gentle movement. Turning to the right. It could be an in-breath if you wish. And then a breath out as you return. And then we've got a turn to the left with an in-breath if you wish. And then back. Let's go once more to the right. Let's go to the left. And on this occasion, we're going to turn to the right, but both hands now gesture. So I've got my left palm down, right palm up, gesturing in the same direction. And then I drop them down, sweep them round, and do the same on the left, only now right palm is down and the left palm is up. That gives us a bit more range of motion. From one side and then to the other. We'll go to each side in turn. Don't worry if we end up a little bit out of sync. And then we'll come to a rest. So we've got some rotation. So as time marches on, let's finish off with gather celestial energy and gather Earth's energy. And we'll do this 3 times before our closing movement. So we can start with the hands hanging loosely if we have that facility to do so. If you're standing up, then again, you should have that scope to do so. Here we go. Pick the hands up. Palms just gently settle for a moment, and then we're looking up. The hands lift as we look up to the sky. Move within a comfortable range. And then imagine that we bring down some stars. Gather those stars by sweeping the hands around. Hold on to them for a moment and then let them go. The hands drop and then we pick them up to the sides. And then we wrap ourselves in a blanket called the earth, the blanket of the earth. Crossing, touching the shoulders, and then we let that blanket go. And that's the movement. 2 movements. Here we go again. Gather celestial energy, looking up to a night sky. Sweeping the hands around as we gather. And then we let the stars go. Pick the hands up to either side. Fold that blanket around us. And kind of just enjoy being wrapped in that blanket for a moment before we let it go. Let's do that one more time for 3 times in total. Lifting it up. Lowering the hands, bring some stars down. Gathering. Hold on to that little bundle of stars and then let them go. Pick the hands up. Fold into the blanket. Okay, closing movements. Again, we'll do this as a little progression. Pushing the fingers forwards, up, and drawing towards us. We have a sense of closure, but also of bringing everything that we've done back towards us. We could also have a sense of bringing good things, whatever that could be, towards us to unpack again another time. This time our hands head out to the sides and then fold the elbows over. And then once again, a sense of packing away. Out they go. Could be a breath in followed by a breath out if that fits and feels comfortable. And then we go large, up, overhead as far as you feel comfortable, and then bring the hands down slowly. Again, it could be a big breath in as we lift. The head can lift as well. And then we watch the hands bring everything back down together. Here we go, one last time, maybe with an in-breath. And then we just let the breath go. And that's it. Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for those people who are watching later as well. We have a little WhatsApp group, so post any comments or questions in there. We do have a little chat from time to time. And let me stop this recording. Let me come a bit closer. If anyone's got any immediate questions or comments now, here's your opportunity. Let me do this recording.